Don't shout. I know you're angry. I know you're angry, but listen to Daddy.
So I designed a behavior support plan for this aggressive girl.
I'm feeling hurt and sad that my 9-year-old daughter can treat me the way she is.
What is it that you want from Meghann?
I want love from her, and I want her to hug me and tell me she loves me. I don't want her to shout at me and tell me she hates me.
Now, if you want to create a supportive, loving, nurturing environment, even in a situation like this, you might not want to follow the plan that Supernanny developed.
Right.
Let me show you why. But first, are behavior support plans even effective? And why am I making these videos? Let's get straight into it. So according to this research paper, a behavior support plan is a plan that consists of preventative strategies, teaching strategies, and consequence strategies that address the likely function of the problem behavior. And function simply means the reason why that behavior is happening. And so why is this important? Why is this important to you? See, the behavior support plan is a tool that could have a massive impact on your life. So if you're experiencing a situation like this, a behavior support plan could be that tool that could improve your quality of life. So generally there are 5 parts to a behavior support plan. And part number 1 out of 5 is a behavioral summary statement. So this is just a statement that describes what the behavior looks and sounds like, also known as a topography. It also talks about slow triggers. So these are things that influence the likelihood of the behavior happening, but they happen way back in time before the behavior. And then we have something called fast triggers. So these are things that happen immediately before the behavior happens. And then we have the function, which is the reason why that behavior happens. So we are coming up with a hypothesis or coming up with an idea of what the function might be for that behavior. Speaking of problem behaviors, many schools have discipline issues. So this can be issues like vandalism, bullying, and violence. Now, effective discipline is key for academic success and creating that supportive, nurturing environment. So in 2010, 4 researchers went to an elementary school in the United States. And this school was one that was plagued with problems. So they had issues with discipline, there was academic underachievement, and very low staff morale. So how would these researchers make changes in the school? How could they improve everyone's quality of life at the school? We'll get to that in a minute. First, let's have a look at Meghann's behaviors of concern.
Meghann can be very angry, lots of shouting, screaming, rudeness.
No, Mum, get off me!
And the first one here is screaming, shouting, and rudeness.
She knows what presses your buttons to get you angry.
Please don't shout at me like that.
That's what I'm doing!
You stop swinging it!
No, that's what you do with it!
That little girl's mouth.
And what you are seeing here is something called counter control. So this is how you respond when you find someone is trying to control you and you find that aversive. And the way you respond is you do something aversive that then reduces the likelihood of the person trying to control you in the future.
Meghann had decided that she was too grown up for the princess chart and called it sissy. No. She wasn't having none of it.
No. Right.
Down. Meghann pulled the crown off.
Meghann?
Well, I think it's sissy stuff. Will that help?
And then we have property damage.
She's learning and she knows that she can't get away with that unacceptable behaviour anymore, that there's going to be a consequence.
She's going to be in there all night, isn't she?
And pushing chairs over.
Erin.
Thought I was telling her not.
Meghann?
Shiz.
Meghann?
No, excuse me. Excuse me. Meghann, that behaviour's unacceptable. I don't like it when you pinch me.
Unacceptable, not
I don't like it. Or pinch me, or punch me, or behave in a way that is unacceptable, then you will go back into that room.
Unacceptable.
No back chat with me either. And that's your warning.
Pinching.
Unless you have to show her. Say to her, look at me and say, I'm sorry.
Look at me.
So that she knows, otherwise she won't know.
You need to look at me and say, I'm sorry, properly, as if you mean it.
But I need it because I don't so!
Meghann, no.
No,
No, we don't hit.
Hitting.
Right after I arrived, it was time to take the girls to school,
Meghann?
and it didn't take long before Mum and Meghann kicked off.
Can I have the phone? Not you're just doing anything. I want it back. Meghann, now! Come here, please! Give me the phone! Just give me the telephone, Meghann, because you're really...
Meghann's just bit her mum. because Denise tried to take the mobile phone off of her.
And biting. And so we can list Meghann's behaviors of concern as follows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And as we're listing behaviors for Meghann, the school also had a list of behaviors that were an issue. So what used to happen was the administration team would issue these referral slips to the students. And the behaviors consisted of fighting, threatening teachers, and disrupting the class. Things of that nature. And so after a certain amount of referral slips, the student would get suspended for between 1 to 9 days, depending on how problematic that behavior was. Just to get a little something off my chest. And that is the attacks that are aimed at the science of behavior analysis. Now, behavior analysis is a science. It's like a law of nature. So attacking it does not make the science go away. It doesn't change the laws of nature. What I want to do is share with you what the science of behavior analysis consists of, what it involves, and how it can improve your quality of life. I want to turn attackers into collaborators so we can band together and change lives. Okay, let's get back into it. Now, for us, we have no way of knowing how frequent Meghann's behaviors are because part of the behavioral summary statement includes a description of the behavior as well as the frequency. But for us, there is no way of knowing how frequent Meghann's behaviors were just from watching this episode because it's been edited. However, we do get a clue as to some of the slow triggers that influence her behavior. For example, this clip.
If things aren't going quite the right way or something's not quite working, Meghann can get a little bit agitated.
That is a slow trigger that's going to influence the likelihood of challenging behavior happening later on. And now onto fast triggers.
Nurse.
No, Mum, get off me!
So in this clip, we see that being stopped from doing what she wants to do is a fast trigger for shouting.
You stop swinging it.
No, that's what you do with it!
That little girl's mouth.
And in this one, being told what not to do is a fast trigger for counter control.
She wasn't having none of it.
Right.
Down.
She's going to be in there all night, isn't she?
And in this clip, we see that the fast trigger for property damage is actually being placed in timeout and also being presented with something that she doesn't like.
Unless you have to show her. Say to her, look at me and say, I'm sorry.
Look at me.
So that she knows, otherwise she won't know.
You need to look at me and say, I'm sorry, properly, as if you mean it.
I need it because I don't sell!
Meghann, no.
No,
No, we don't hit.
So over here, we can see that the fast trigger for hitting is someone actually saying something that Meghann doesn't like.
Right after I arrived, it was time to take the girls to school,
Meghann.
and it didn't take long before Mum and Meghann kicked off.
Can I have the phone? Not you're just doing anything. I want it back. Meghann, now! Come here, please! Give me the phone! Just give me the telephone, Meghann, because you're really...
Meghann's just bit her mum because Denise tried to take the mobile phone off of her.
And then finally biting. The fast trigger here is someone actually removing something that she wants. And then the next section is really coming up with a function of Meghann's behaviors. I can say that the majority of Meghann's behavior are actually escape maintained. That is, the function of Meghann's behavior is to escape something aversive or avoid something she finds aversive. So first, let's have a look at shouting.
No, Mum, get off me!
So over here, you see Meghann shouts in this particular clip. And then the next thing that happens is Mom then lets go. So what's actually happened here is the shouting has been reinforced by Mom letting go. And this is because the shouting has actually resulted in the desired escape or avoidance. And here we see property damage.
No.
She wasn't having none of it.
Right.
Down.
Again, this is for the purpose of escape or avoidance. And then we have pinching in this one.
Erin.
Thought I was telling her off.
Meghann.
Cheers.
Meghann.
No, excuse me.
And again, it's pinching to escape or avoid because it stops the person from doing something similar in the future. So the function is escape because then you're avoiding that aversive action or aversive event. And again, we see the same thing with the hitting.
You need to look at me and say, I'm sorry, properly, as if you mean it.
I need it because I don't sell!
Meghann, no. No, we don't here.
Essentially what we're seeing here is that Meghann is punishing anyone around her who does something that she does not like. Because what happens is people don't want to be punished, so they're gonna stop doing the things that result in punishment. So then Meghann's behavior is reinforced because she gets more of her own way. So as for the behavioral summary statement, what are our behaviors? So we have shouting, property damage, and physical aggression. And the slow trigger is things just not being the way that Meghann wants. And then the fast trigger is someone saying or doing something that Meghann doesn't want or like. And then the function is escape or avoidance. So the question is, what kind of plan is going to work in this situation? Well, the same kind of plan that would help this school in trouble. So every year in October, the 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade would take a national test, and things were not going well. And so what did the researchers do? They created a behavior support plan, not just for one person, like we're going to do for Meghann. They created a behavior support plan for the whole school. And this is something called school-wide positive behavior support. And to every behavior analyst out there putting their clients at the center of everything they do, even in the face of people throwing rocks at you, I am with you. Anyway, back to Meghann. And so we move on to step 2 out of 5, which is primary preventative strategies. And these are strategies that we put into place to change the likelihood of challenging behavior actually occurring. So we make changes to the environment to reduce the likelihood of behaviors of concern. And primary prevention strategies should form the biggest part of the behavior support plan. Now, the first thing we need to do is actually do a preference assessment. And this is an assessment that works out what activities, tangibles, edibles, what sort of things that Meghann prefers. What does she enjoy? What are those things that we can increase more of that would improve her quality of life? And also, it's not just about that. It's also about using these things to establish motivation for Meghann to then learn new skills. So we say that they are likely to be effective reinforcers for desired behavior. Now, from this clip,
Meghann and Mum desperately needed a recipe of some good old one-on-one time together, so I had a little something in mind. That it would be really lovely if you went ice skating with Mummy this morning, just you and Mummy.
That's wicked.
That'd be really
Wicked.
So excited, and just seeing Meghann say, she was squeezing my hand and just so excited. She's beside herself, and it's lovely to see her like that, and I'm excited too.
we can see that Meghann really enjoys ice skating. So that could be something that could be used as a reinforcer for desired behavior. So for example, we could introduce a token system. So this is, for example, Meghann might be able to earn stickers for helping out in the house or showing some of that desired behavior. And when she collects a sufficient number of stickers, then she could trade those stickers for a preferred activity such as ice skating. And that is a token economy. But for something like this to be effective, for that token economy to be effective, it must be linked to the preferred activities, preferred tangibles, or preferred edibles. So favorite characters, favorite food, favorite place to go, all that kind of thing. So the next thing we would do is we would pay close attention to any pro-social behaviors that Meghann would show. So anytime Meghann is saying please or thank you, or anytime she's being kind to her sisters, or being friendly or helping out. And what we want to do is, using this token system, we are going to reward those pro-social behaviors as soon as we see them. And the idea is we are actually using the principle of reinforcement. And by doing this repeatedly, diligently over time, we are going to increase those pro-social behaviors. So for example, saying something like, I really like how you shared your badge with your sister. That's very kind. And doing things like that helps you to form good relationships. So we're giving detailed praise, also attaching a reason to why that behavior is important. The other thing that's missing here is, for Meghann, what she's missing is the ability to ask other people to stop doing something she finds aversive. Because what Meghann is doing is resorting to physical aggression. So far we've learned that Meghann enjoys putting on plays, but quite often this goes wrong.
They put on a play.
Stella, you've got to put your hand up, you twit.
Pardon?
Twit. Yes. Wrong.
But as soon as the curtains went up, it was game over.
Shut it out!
Oh, don't
No, don't. It's going really well, good.
Well, like Snotty got ruined once and get ruined again.
How many children are there in it?
Because Meghan's sisters aren't doing things in a specific way or the way that Meghann wants. So what we would do is we would practice. When Meghann is happy, relaxed, and engaged, we would practice asking people to stop doing something she doesn't like. So we would role play the situation, for instance. Now, stick with me. I know this sounds a bit unusual, and you're thinking, does it work if you're actually just role playing and not doing it in real life? Think of it as muscle memory. Have you ever rehearsed a speech in the mirror before actually giving a speech? Or rehearsed a conversation before you've actually gone and given a conversation or engaged in a conversation in real life? It's kind of the same thing. You want to be practicing asking people to stop doing something you don't like when you're happy, relaxed, and engaged in a form of a game and some kind of role play. And as Meghann is practicing this, we are going to deliver the reinforcement, the verbal praise, and the detailed description, quality attention, with the view of actually practicing this in real scenarios. So in a real situation, when things actually do go wrong, if Meghann does not independently ask for someone to stop doing that thing, then you could prompt and provide a model. It works. You just need to be consistent and follow a plan. It works. So the other thing we want to practice is to build toleration of Meghann not having things the way she wants. And this is important. And the reason it's important is by actually looking at Meghann's learning history. When things aren't the way she wants, she's resorting to challenging behavior, to physical aggression. So it's not just about asking other people not to do certain things or have things in a certain way. Because Meghann also needs that psychological flexibility, because there are going to be situations when you can't ask people not to do certain things and you can't have things in a certain way. Being able to tolerate that without resorting to physical aggression is important for Meghann. It might not be important for the person, but given what we've seen so far, this is important for Meghann. And the way we would build this toleration is, number one, set a target for Meghann to temporarily have things not the way that she wants. Number two, start with an interval that Meghann is likely to be successful at. Number three, gradually increase this interval. So, for example, you might go from 5 minutes to 6 minutes, etc. Number four, deliver reinforcement and descriptive praise and that quality attention at the end of the interval. And then gradually build up this interval over time. And really, we want to work up to Meghann being able to tolerate her sisters making mistakes in a play without resorting to physical aggression. The next thing we need to do is to proactively practice having kind hands. So we need to be clear about what kind hands means. And this means feet on the ground, hands by your side, maybe taking some deep breaths. So every now and again, while Meghann is playing with her sisters, you might prompt her to show kind hands when she's happy, relaxed, engaged. So feet on the ground, hands by the side, and then taking some deep breaths. The principle here is we want to increase fluency, the ease with which she performs the behavior. So as Meghann becomes fluent in this behavior while she's happy, relaxed, engaged, she's more likely to show this behavior when prompted, when she's off base, when she's agitated. And so we might also use the tokens for Meghann actually showing kind hands. Again, we're trying to use the tokens to increase that desirable behavior or pro-social behavior. Now, the other thing that we need to tackle proactively is the escape maintained aggression, also known as anger. So there is a curriculum that's designed for children, and that is based on acceptance commitment therapy. Now, acceptance commitment therapy is about being in the present moment, despite whatever negative feelings you have, and then taking steps towards your core values. And studies have shown acceptance commitment therapy to be effective for helping people with anger issues and even addiction issues. And so we could use those very same tokens that Meghann is earning towards her preferred activity for actually engaging in this acceptance commitment therapy curriculum. So that is another proactive strategy we could use. So the acceptance commitment therapy is a curriculum that teaches you psychological flexibility. It teaches acceptance of unwanted thoughts and allowing them to be there, and taking committed action towards the things that you value in your life. It's really a powerful tool, and I've used it at work. I would typically use acceptance commitment therapy when I need to have those difficult conversations with parents. It's never a pleasant thing. I always catastrophize and think the worst things are going to happen before that conversation. And I've also used acceptance commitment therapy when carrying out a presentation to a room full of people, 90% of whom were more qualified than I am. And the other strategy we are going to use is differential reinforcement of other behavior. So what we're going to do is we are going to look at the times during the day when Meghann is most likely to show this physical aggression, all these behaviors of concern. So for example, it might be from the time Meghann arrives from school to the time Meghann goes to bed. So say 5 hours. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to split that block of time into equal intervals. So we might take this 5-hour block and split it into 1-hour intervals. Now, for each interval, for each 1-hour interval that Meghann completes without showing any behavior of concern, we are going to award Meghann one of the tokens from the token system. We're going to give descriptive praise and also give quality attention for a brief time. And for every hour that she completes, we're going to deliver that reinforcement. So as long as there's no behavior of concern, at the end of the interval, we deliver reinforcement and we let Meghann know the rule. However, in the event of things going wrong, we would simply reset the time interval. And this is a strategy that is used to decrease undesirable behavior. And as for the school, with this school-wide behavior support plan, the researchers also created more detailed behavior support plans for individual students if the teacher requested them. Anyway, we move on to step 3 of 5, secondary prevention strategies. And these are strategies that we use when we first notice that Meghann is beginning to move off baseline. And the aim of these strategies is to actually prevent the behavior from escalating further. So the first thing you'll notice is that Meghann will fold her arms.
You need to look at me and say, I'm sorry, properly, as if you mean it.
And frown, and then begin to raise her voice. Check it out.
I need it because I don't sell.
Meghann, no. No, we don't hit.
Yes, I do.
And when we see this, because of all the practice we would have done prior, we are going to prompt Meghann to show us kind hands, which means feet on the ground, arms by your side, and then take deep breaths. Now, studies have actually shown that taking deep breaths, diaphragmatic breaths, actually helps individuals to work through challenging situations. And the other benefit of this kind hand strategy is that you're actually using differential reinforcement of incompatible behavior as well. So this is where you reinforce one set of behaviors which are incompatible with the challenging behavior. In other words, Meghann cannot hit, shout, show physical aggression as long as she's showing kind hands. So if we're reinforcing the incompatible behavior, we are actually making it less likely that Meghann will engage in those unwanted behaviors. And then the next thing we want to do is we want to prompt Meghann to actually communicate appropriately. We want to know if there is something that she wants us to stop, something that she wants to change. And then if we can, we are going to reinforce that appropriate communication by stopping those things or making those changes happen. Now, I know what you're thinking, right? You're giving away so much control to this child. You are letting her run around and actually rule the house. But that is why in the proactive strategies, we continue building toleration over time. So while we're still building that toleration, we are going to be doing what we can to prevent behavior from escalating. So by actually working in this way, you are providing reinforcement for appropriate communication. So Meghann gets what she wants by actually communicating appropriately. So you have differential reinforcement. So the appropriate communication is reinforced while the behavior of concern receives minimum reinforcement. Differential reinforcement of alternative behavior. The alternative being the communication. Sometimes things take time. And this was no different for the school in the United States with the 4 researchers. So after 3 years of this behavior support plan, what was the impact? What was the result? What was the impact of all this time and energy? But first, let's have a look at step number 4 of 5 reactive strategies. These are strategies we implement in the moment when the behavior of concern has happened. And really the point of these strategies is to keep everyone safe. That's the key focus. So number one, we could prompt Meghann to a safe space where there is lower risk of harm to herself or other people. After things have gone wrong and Meghann has been in her room and she's starting to settle, we are going to revisit acceptance commitment therapy. Now, as I said before, this is an evidence-based approach that consists of 6 components. So the first component is acceptance, and that's for Meghann to accept the aversive feelings and thoughts that she might have. It's a part of life. Make space for them, because the harder Meghann tries to push these feelings and thoughts away, the bigger they become. The second thing is cognitive diffusion. So this basically means helping Meghann to place some distance between herself and those thoughts. For example, imagine that Meghann says to herself, "I'm a terrible child." And she was having that thought. So cognitive diffusion, one of the techniques we would use is to teach Meghann to say, rather than saying, "I'm a terrible child," we'd teach Meghann to say, "I'm having the thought that I'm a terrible child." So it's using that kind of language helps you to place distance between yourself and that negative feeling and thought. So you are labeling that thought as language rather than a fact. That's what creates a distance. And the third thing is contact with the present moment. Our brains, our minds, we relive experiences, we predict the future. And these thoughts that we have, they pull us away from the present. We can practice to be more in touch with the present and have richer experiences and therefore a richer life. So we would help Meghann to practice mindfulness. And then the fourth thing is self as context. This is the idea that Meghann and her thoughts and the feelings that she's had up until this moment, if anyone else had the same experiences that Meghann had, then they would have the same thoughts and feelings that she has. So it's teaching Meghann to look at herself, but in the context of everything that's happened in her life up until this moment. Don't be so hard on yourself. So really the fifth step is helping Meghann to develop and identify her values. Because a lot of the time we are not sure what our own values are, but there are exercises in the curriculum that would help you to reveal those values. And then the sixth thing is taking committed action towards those things that you do value. So here we're supporting Meghann to take a step, no matter how small, towards the things that she values. And when you live a life that aligns with your values, is that not the definition of happiness? And I cannot overstate how important knowing your values and living in line with your values is. Now, I have made many mistakes in my life. I have many regrets, but those mistakes and those regrets have helped me to realize what my core values are. I just wish I'd known about them a lot earlier. Anyway, connecting with your values should have a positive impact. But what was the impact of the behavior support plan on that school? Let's find out. So if you remember those referral slips that the administration team used to issue to students for the crimes that they committed. So from the first year to the second year, the number of referral slips that were issued dropped by 50%. And then from the second to the third year, it dropped by a further 35%. But that is not all. More on that later. And then we move on to step 5, evaluation. So basically, we need to know if this behavior support plan is actually working for Meghann. And the way to do that is evaluation. And the best way to do this, which can be challenging when you're a parent, is to collect data. And it's challenging because you have so many other things that you need to be doing, running the household. The most effective thing you could do is to collect ABC data. So the A is the antecedent, which is what's happened before the behavior. The B is the actual behavior. You would describe it, how long it was, how intense it was, what happened. And then the consequence is simply what happened afterwards in time. It doesn't mean punishment or reprimand or whatever. It just means simply what happens afterwards. So it could be praise, it could be nothing, it could be punishment. So the number of ABCs will be important. If all things being equal, if you are completing fewer ABCs in time, then we can infer that our intervention is actually working. So another good thing about completing ABC data is by actually revisiting this data and analyzing it, we can refine the intervention based on new information. So what we thought was a trigger might not then be a trigger, and what we thought was the maintaining consequence or the thing that was reinforcing the behavior might actually not be the thing. But by collecting this information, we can improve our intervention over time. How do these 5 steps actually compare to what Supernanny did? Let's check it out.
Meghann and Mum desperately needed a recipe of some good old one-on-one time together, so I had a little something in mind. That it would be really lovely if you went ice skating with Mummy this morning, just you and Mummy.
That's
wicked.
wicked.
So excited, and just seeing Meghann say, she was squeezing my hand and just so excited. She's beside herself, and it's lovely to see her like that, and I'm excited too.
So she's organized some activities here that's allowing time between mom and daughter to actually bond, which is great.
The thought box is there to encourage Meghann to express whatever's on her mind. And that way, Mummy can read your thoughts and you can discuss it. Do you think that's a good idea?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, marvellous.
And gifted Meghann a talking box so Meghann can actually share her thoughts, which is also great. This is good stuff. But the question is, once you have these thoughts and these thoughts are written down and you have this information, what do you then do with that? And the main strategy that we see being used here is actually putting Meghann into the reflection room.
Every household rule that gets broken, there's a consequence for that. And if they refuse to listen and they carry on, then I want you to put them in that dining room, which is now going to be called the reflection room.
Which is an exclusionary timeout procedure, which basically means you remove Meghann from a positively reinforcing environment and then put her in an environment where there is no reinforcement. But here's the key thing: for a strategy like that or a procedure like that to be effective, for it to work, the existing environment actually has to be positive. So Meghann has to want to be in that environment so that when she's removed from that environment, she longs for the environment from which she was taken. So essentially, Supernanny is recommending punishment here. And the way a punishment procedure works is it suppresses behavior. You don't actually need to know the reason behind the behavior. You don't need any assessments. And generally, everyone understands how punishment works. But there is a problem with punishment procedures. They can result in emotional and aggressive reactions. So here we see Meghann making fun of her sister because she's doing something she doesn't like. And then Meghann is punished. So she is sent to the reflection room.
So you're getting cross and trying to organise everyone, aren't you?
Well, I'm the director.
Don't shout at me, Meg.
Just sit down.
Meghann,
Yeah.
that's your warning and you're going to be in there.
Meghann,
You've had enough
reflection room,
warnings.
please.
Meghan's really feisty and she knows what buttons to push. And boy, is she pushing.
Here you go. Meghann. Right, you're coming down on the board too.
Don't care.
And then you see the emotional response. This is where Meghann pinches her sister, and that's the problem with punishment. It can produce emotional or aggressive reactions. The other thing is, what Meghann might do to avoid punishment might be more harmful than the original behavior. Check this out.
Paul went in again to get his apology.
Meghann, I want an apology said nicely now, and I want you to look at me when you say it.
I would say don't say anything.
Meghann,
Meghann.
Meghann, calm down, please. Calm down. Calm down and listen to Daddy, darling. Calm down and listen to Daddy.
Not unless you get lost.
Don't shout. I know you're angry. I know you're angry, but listen to Daddy. Listen
Sit
to
down.
Daddy.
I'm gonna sit down.
Listen to Daddy.
I'm gonna sit down.
Yeah, not you.
Number 3, which I've mentioned time and time again, the excessive use of severe punishment procedures can damage relationships. Number 4 is something called behavior contrast. So you might have punishment in one setting. So for example, you might have punishment for a specific behavior at home. So what you would see is that behavior would reduce at home, but then it would increase in another setting, even though the consequence in the other setting has not changed. That's called behavior contrast. Number 5, you are modeling negative control techniques. You are saying to Meghann, if someone is behaving in a way that you do not approve of, this is what you do. You punish them. And then if you punish a child and then that behavior reduces, that reduction in behavior reinforces your use of punishment. So then over time, you begin to rely on punishment more.
Denise tries to discipline Gabby.
Sit still! You're not looking at me. I'm not going to...
Denise's patience is wearing thin.
And I want you to sit on the chair without being silly and stay on the chair. I don't expect this behaviour. OK, Gabriella, you're not going to have any friends home for the whole of next week.
Oh, no, I don't care because I hate my friends.
Well, that's fine.
Which takes us back to the other point. The excessive use of punishment can damage relationships.
I'm feeling hurt and sad that my 9-year-old daughter can treat me the way she is.
What is it that you want from Meghann?
I want love from her and I want her to hug me and tell me she loves me. I don't want her to shout at me and tell me she hates me.
So why am I making this video? Well, the same reason I made the last one and the one before that. And that is to share the science of behavior analysis and how you can use it to not just improve your quality of life, but your families as well. And case in point, we go back to the school and the research. How did this behavior support plan situation work out? Number 1, reading comprehension percentile rankings improved by 18%. And number 2, mathematics rankings improved by 25% from year 1 to year 2. And number 3, student discipline problems reduced and overall academic performance improved. Now, if something like this can be done for an entire school by using a behavior support plan, can we not do it for just one person? Check out the next video to see how the principles of applied behavior analysis can make your life better.